Channel TV Virtual Studio Multi-Purpose. We provide virtual studio space for multi-purpose, talk show, news, online coaching and presentation, webinar, forum conference and more. With a professional worker and up-to-date visual graphics set and design, call us for more information.
Hello and good evening Malaysia. With you tonight, Wafa Waleed on new segment called In Person. So for those who are watching, don't forget to share, like and follow our social media account at NR Channel TV. The process of building a nation state and defending the sovereignty and independence of this country is certainly on the shoulders of today's and future's generations. Continuing the efforts of the founding fathers that helped build our nation before is not an easy task. The youth who are talented, skilled and have integrity must continue to be polished because this country cannot continue to rely on the veteran leaders. From now on, we must leave it to the youth to lead our country in order to get a fresh start. Some political parties are seen to drastically change their leadership by appointing the youth, assigning them important roles and tasks, whereas the older generation in said party are given the task to advise and shape them. We hope that all political parties, including at the ministry level, open up as much space as possible for young people to fill their position as heads and leaders. In the previous session of In-Person segment, we have discussed the importance of youth involvement in politics. So in tonight's session, we will be discussing more about the power of the youth in our national politics. So for tonight, we have a special guest, Juliyus Allen, a specialist in government relation and licensing. He also has served the people within the political parties and non-governmental organization with only one agenda: to build a better Malaysia. So before we start our session tonight, let's watch this VT. So, hi Julius, welcome to our channel into this segment called In Person. So, before we begin, perhaps you would want to share with us a little bit about yourself.
Definitely. First of all, good evening to Wafa, and also thank you NF channel for inviting me up to this show. Today's topic is very interesting, and I'm very much happy to be here. To our audience, our listeners out there, thank you for tuning in, and I hope this discussion can be a fruitful one. And also, to start with, my name is Julius. I think to my friends that have already known me, and also some of our followers on the NGO level and also in politics, my friends from the universities, I've been very much engaged and involved in politics from a very young age, and I didn't just started off being a typical, party leader or any form of, I would say, higher hierarchy people, but I started off being an NGO leader. Yeah.
Okay. So, you go with the motto to build a better Malaysia, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how would you describe our country now?
I would say we should be grateful that we are in a very peaceful and a very strategic geopolitical scenario, whereby we have no war, our country is at peace, we do not have civil riots going on the streets. We should be lucky, I would say, despite the rise of goods. I mean, that is quite normal considering the fact that around the world, economic issues are being rising. So I would say Malaysia is still doing its level best, but we can do better, of course.
Okay. So, you said that you didn't start at right away at the hierarchy level.
Correct.
So, how did you manage to be part of national politics at a very young age? Perhaps you could share with us how you started and when you started.
Okay. So it all started when I was in high school. Actually, I was very much interested in history
Okay,
lesson and geography, of course. So when I was young, I was already reading news about World War One, World War Two. I was reading books written by famous leaders, for example, like Nelson Mandela. I even read one of Hitler's book, where he was in prison. He wrote a very good book. So all of this was actually part of the momentum that built, that shaped the inner self of myself. That I wanted a platform whereby like I can be together in the system. I can make reformation in terms of where there is lackness or weaknesses within our political frame or even the policy that are shaping this country. So when I graduated, I would say from high school, of course, when I entered my first year in university, in foundation, I was introduced and I was given a platform to be in Mahasiswa Keadilan Malaysia, MKM. So from there, I started off being a volunteer, and then came one of the party's election and also general election where I served as a volunteer. So it all didn't just kicked off as being part of the central committee or what, but slowly from there I became the vice president of MKM, Mahasiswa Keadilan. And then things came very lucky for me, I would say, because at the age of 19, I was already appointed as the secretary for the youth state in Parti Keadilan Rakyat. Okay. So at that point of time, our we would say branch division leader, Naim Brundaj, he was one of the youngest ketua cabang, I would say, or we would say branch division leader in the whole of Malaysia. And I was the youngest secretary at the age of 19. So I would conclude is that I had a very great ambitious team with me, and also the people around me, the people that surround me gave me the exposure at early age, despite having to let go of it at an early age. So I felt how it felt to be a normal member before coming in to be someone with position, and now I don't have any position.
Okay, so like slowly pumping yourself up.
Yeah.
There. Congratulations. So, according to the Department of Statistical Malaysia, as of 2020, the mean age of population in Malaysia is at 29.2, indicating that most of the population of Malaysia are 30 years old and below.
Okay.
And yet, our representatives are mostly veteran. So, what could be the ideal age for youth to start join politics?
Okay. So when it comes to ideal age, right, guys, I would say there is no ideal age. For me, there you can search it up on Google. Actually, that question you search, when or at what age should a person join politics or be fit to be in politics. Google won't tell you the answer even, because every individual have their own state whereby they are already matured or exposed at early age. For example, I have a friend. He he claimed he was in politics since 12 or 13 years old. So I was like, how
Very
did you
young.
actually got involved at so early? You know, and then he was saying, oh no, I was just following my dad. My dad was in politics. He was one of the ketua bahagian. So he
Okay.
took me around in his jelajah or in his campaign and all. So I was like, so you consider yourself already being exposed and already in the party at such young age? And then he's like, yeah. But to me, you see, that is one scenario. Someone who had early exposure from his or her dad
Yeah.
or her mom even. We would never know. So, but there is another factor or another scenario whereby none of the family members or none of the individuals in the family who have been in politics, or even he or she himself didn't have the chance to even have interest in politics. I have so many friends out there who dislike politics. The term itself, politic, is already so intoxicated and also have this bad perception on politics. So to me, I would say the perfect age is only when you already have gained that sense of maturity and you can choose your political party and you can make a decision when you're voting based on your own consciousness, and also when you can evaluate on a pragmatic manner. I would say pragmatism is very important. I remember
True
my
indeed.
lecturer taught me that when I was in first year of foundations, humanities and social sciences.
Okay.
She would always remind everyone in the class to be pragmatic when making a decision, of course.
True indeed. That brings me to my next question actually. So some might say that it is hard to build ourselves, to path our way, to join politics at a very young age. Because it might seem that our national, to join our national politics at a very young age, there is involved of chronism and nepotism. So, but what would you say? Is it true though?
I have to agree to you, Wafa, to a certain point, because you see, when I first, despite all this interest in politics, despite all of this passion to help, to volunteer, to be with the people and all, when I was going back to my story earlier, when I was in first year of universities, I didn't have a platform back then. So I was looking for a platform. So, but I was lucky enough that there was a path that had been opened up for me with the right people, with the right agenda, with the right passion. I managed to have that kind of good path. I would say it's a blessing in disguise. But before that, before this opportunity came to me, I was like, you see, this whole political scene is dominated by, as you said earlier, we have so many elder MPs, aduns which are already reaching their golden age. So to me, it's like there will be a ceiling or a blockage that are being created in purpose not to bring up a certain leader in the political party itself, especially climbing up the ladders. It will be extremely hard, because I know for a fact that putting yourself in position makes you feel so empowered that you wouldn't want to let go your position to someone who is more energetic, who is someone who is more bright. The idealism is there to help to really build a nation, but instead you would want to retain your position because you have really felt how it feels to be in power. And the famous quote always goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Indeed, true. So, okay, we can see that actually that more and more youth started to join politics, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think the youth join politics merely to feel the need of feeling belongingness in a society, or actually to contribute to serve Malaysia?
I think to be fair, I see a lot of the youth nowadays that are very much aligned and also having this interest in politics. Is that one is they feel sad to see how our nation have revolved in these past few years. There have been silent voters. Now those silent voters, who are some I can evaluate myself that these silent voters have already came out from their cage. It's like, it's like harimau keluar daripada what is this, from the cave, like a lion coming out from a cave. Yeah, so right now they might be very quiet. We can see so many backlashes before this in the past 2-3 years, how like when our government switch from one government to another government, different leaders come on to be prime ministers, changing over and over. We can see that there is this feeling of dissatisfaction from the youth itself. And with the formation of Muda, of course, who have right upon this momentum, came in at the right time, where there is automatic voters registration and also Undi 18, which gives power to the 18 years old above to decide on the future of the country. These have already been fought way back before this, during Barisan Nasional's time, and after, during post Reformasi era. They have already been fighting for the youth to be in power, for the youth to have certain credibilities, to be in governance, of course. But the right moment just came when Muda appeared to be one of the main people that actually, or I would say main party that used the slogan Muda itself. So good for them, because right now you might have the youth who are very much following up the hype, or following up with the momentum that is going. So youth is rising, whereby political parties needs to adapt to this change right now, because the youth won't just simply join any party. And because to my notice is that when a youth join a political party back then, it's more towards how they want to serve the community and perhaps how they want to contribute to the society. But now there is a mixed feeling, whereby some of the youth are coming into politics because they want to make changes, or it's either they're very angry towards the current situation. They're I would say dissatisfied, so they would want to come in with the. And if you come into politics with the feeling of emotion and the feeling of trying to kill someone, it will never work for the particular individual, because in politics it's the marathon. Everyone tell me that. So sudden move, or any sudden move, I would say, would actually bring you to a dead end, and you might actually step your back on yourself,
I actually agree with that, because when they want with that kind of emotion, they want to serve the country, or to change to a better Malaysia. So for one, to contribute in the national politics, I'm sure there are needs of some criteria and characteristic of that particular person, right? So what could it be?
Actually, you're the first person that actually asked me this question, because previously my friends and also myself that who are in politics are always labeled as the ones that so-called want to make change lah, so-called want to help the people, because they have been influxed with the idea and this perception where politics, you go in politics to make money, you go in politics to build, like you said just now about nepotism and cronism, where you can get the you get the upper hand to climb up faster in business and also in politics, right? A lot of people misuse, and because of the idea of abusing the power when you're in politics, that's where the label of like, oh, you masuk politics semata-mata nak buat duit and sebagainya kan. But doesn't matter. But to me, we always should have our principles right. So like I've told this earlier on, and also previous talks where I've attended, where I was asked similarly in the question, why do you join politics, Julius? The main reason and the main agenda is only because we should have a right heart. So with the right heart, orang kata niat tu kena betul lah kan. So I would say the agenda is, it will divert in while you're in politics, because before you enter politics and after you are out of politics, in between politics, in between the career itself, in between this marathon, there will always be times where you have to make critical decision. There are times where you have to sacrifice even your own friend, or you can see how radical sometimes politics can be. But I would say we are very lucky, because in Malaysia, how radical it is or how extreme it is, no one is going to assassinate you from the rooftop. So we are very lucky, and I believe that like I'm going back to the question, it's just that one is passion, of course, and the other one is your motive in politics. What are you fighting for, or why did you actually join? If it's because of your friend or your family, I would just say don't have to waste your time lah in politics, but rather just focus on something else or your business, you know.
I heard that quite a lot actually. Okay, so other than to make changes in Malaysia, in our nation, or any other country, about youth start to become more involved in politics, why is there a need for the youth to be part of the politics?
Alright, so we always say like youth is the future generation, and they are we would say the recruits that will actually bring our nation forward, right? But we don't simply, like I said earlier, we don't simply want to ride on the momentum of youth must be in politics, youth must be placed in high position, youth must be given an easy path up. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way, because if you completely would like to ridicule the fact that if a youth is not qualified to even be in governance, why would you give or allocate or even set a quota for a youth to be in the particular position if they're not qualified? So to me, we must be very, very cautious when it comes to rising up a youth candidate, or picking a youth to be in appointment in political appointments, or in any government agencies and so on, because like I said, simply because a youth can be the one that bring the organization forward, or even that particular youth can still have the same criteria, can still have the same behavior like those dinosaurs that you mentioned earlier, those old politicians, orang kata politik tua, because it's very simple. Goes back to your second point earlier, that in politics, if I'm the father or I'm the mom, I would want my daughter and son to be part of politics, because I felt the richness, or I felt I have really lived the wealthy life, right? I want my son and daughter to feel the same. So that is the blockage, I say. So let's say a farmer's son who joined politics and a politician's son who joined politics, of course both of them are youth, but when it comes to appointing or giving position to this particular youth, who would you pick, the farmer's son or the politician's son? I think it's very much clear that in Malaysia how it works. However, I would like to leave that out of the topic today, because I believe both youth deserve to be up there if they have what it takes to be there, and if they really would like to bring our country forward. Both, I would say, farmer's son and the politician's son can be up, no problem.
True indeed. So let's dig deeper to our context today, the power of the youth. Perhaps we could take a look at the recent state election, Johor and Melaka election. More and more youth and new faces we start to see more faces contesting for the seats. So what could be the agenda?
Alright. All right. So I would like to say like this particular move or this narrative of bringing up youth candidates is across party. Mainly, I can see that happening in UMNO, Barisan
Okay.
Nasional, where they are bringing up youth leaders. That is because I believe that they were very confident and they had the narrative. They they already had the hearts and mind of the people in those two states election that you
Okay.
mentioned. That's why probably they were more courageous to bring up a youth leader, because at the end of the day, politics in Malaysia is still the same. We are voting not based on individual, but we are voting based on party. We are voting based on block. We are voting based on flags, logo. So we are very much submerged in this idea of partisan, whereby we do not vote a particular politician based on their criteria, their achievements, their backgrounds, or how they made it to politics, or um, what have they already achieved before entering politics, you know. So or perhaps their education, academic status, or yeah, most of the we would say the minimum criteria of how we as the youth, how those who are applying for jobs, how we send in our CV, how we are being interviewed, those phrases, those things don't apply to politicians, because in politics, in the party, if you are a long served party man, you're loyal to someone, you're loyal to the party, you have sacrificed a lot for the party. How I wouldn't want to say stupid, but I mean like how not intellectual you are or not qualified you are, you will be brought up for the sake, because you have already dedicated your service to the party. That is one of the fear that I have in Malaysian politics, because if this practice is going to continue, it is going to cost us very badly. We wouldn't want someone who doesn't have adequate knowledge to run policies, to make policies. You have to be someone who is actually top of the crotch kind of students. And also, I wouldn't want to say students, I believe even if you entered politics without a degree, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, experience and expertise. And also, while that particular politician, whom I know a few, who entered politics without a degree, now they are actually getting a degree. So to me, we should give them a round of applause, because they are making an effort at least to make themselves not just feel educated, but also making sure that their skill sets and their mentality, their ideologies, and also their strength to make a decision when the topic matters arises. So I'm quite happy with that, I believe. Yeah.
So that is true when they say the experience is the best knowledge
Yes.
one can get.
Correct.
So before they start contesting in the seats, the youth needs to be empowered. So in your opinion, what can the government do to empower them before they are ready to be contesting in those seats?
All right. Okay. So, to me, if a youth wants to contest, isn't that simple, or like plucking an apple from a tree or what? It's not that simple, because that particular youth should already be given, or he or she should have already worked to get to that particular level, whereby you can be considered to be a candidate, or even shortlisted to be a candidate. So in terms of what the government can do, knowing that now we have Undi 18 and we have automatic voters registration, I believe not just massive explanation on how our judiciary system works, how our legislative system works, and also how this parliament system works in Malaysia. This basic knowledge and all should already be covered by now. Because if, let's say, someone who lives in the city and someone who lives in the backyard of our kampungs, right? If, for example, if the knowledge and the information that the city person is adhering and having cannot be compared to someone who is living in a very remote area, I know a lot of friends because I've lived throughout Malaysia, not just in the city areas, but I've also lived in Borneo. I've been in the pedalaman. I know how it feels to not being cared for, not to have proper roads to go in. Not, let's just not talk roads. We would see immense of lack of network connections there. I believe I think you heard the story about Viviana, right, who had to climb up a tree just to get internet access, right?
It went
So
viral.
so to me that is already a sign of, if we can't even afford to supply and give a basic need of internet connection for our students, our future leaders of Malaysia to come online to attend he or her studies, how can we expect that he or she would master politics in such a young age, right? So to me, information and accessibility is so important, because it doesn't matter if the candidate is going to be from the town or from the city or from a remote area or in the kampung. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, all of them should be entitled to be involved in politics. Despite even voting itself, it's already something that is way bigger, and also it's something that we would say meaningful as voters of the country. Yeah.
Sure, agree indeed. So as we can see, there is a fight over that we witness actually past three. There is changes of three ministers, prime ministers. So in short period of time, right? So how does the youth view this issue?
All right. So I think I can't speak on behalf of all the youth in Malaysia, but based on my observation and my discussion with my friends and also those who are around my age, I would say 22 to 29, 30, yeah, we would say below 35. Most of them are actually quite disappointed, as I said just now, because when all of these changes have been happening, what is there left for them to grab on? For example, when our leaders above are busy making the next move, we would say, or like the next political strategy, right? How about the policies for the youth? Is it not just for the youth? How about for the welfare, for the those who are in need? How about those who can't have access to medical health care, to education, right? So for the youth itself, we feel I wouldn't say betrayed, but I would like to put it in a context whereby we felt terbiarlah, people said, because I know the youth is waiting for Undi 18 very much, because we know that 7.8 million new voters from the youth would make a big change in our political landscape. We can bring in proper leaders, we can actually elect reps that can really deliver and also speak on behalf of the youth. That's one. And also I would say that Malaysia needs a better education system, whereby we can educate youth at young age on how political system works, and also how to get involved in politics, despite being not able to have the access or the network at such young age, right? But there should be an academy, or perhaps I wouldn't want to say PLKN, because that is more towards self-defense and fighting for the country and all, but I believe an academy or a school of thoughts for politicians, so for future politicians, where we can sharpen their skill sets, their knowledge, and also where we can I would say polish the inner leader of them at young age. Because you see, if we do not have a proper platform before entering a particular political parties, in the end of the day, that youth, if he or she might have been too excited to be in politics, that they made the wrong decision to join the party, probably at the age that they thought that it was the correct party for them, but they end up leaving the party later on. So like I said, this medium or this one-stop center academy or school of politics, school of thoughts, if it can be formed and if it can be pushed as a policy to implement throughout Malaysia, I think it will be a very, very good start for Malaysia to develop and to have younger leaders that are being nurtured at young age.
I agree with you. To focus more on the political literacy at a very young age.
Correct. And to add on, those who are running this academy, this school of politics, and all shouldn't be coming from the political streamyard or the field of politician itself. It should be academy. It should be from university's professor. We should have like I would say diplomats from other countries to actually give the proper exposure to them. Yeah, it should be very neutral, non-biased.
Okay. So back to the question I mentioned about you mentioned that you notice the youth feel dissatisfaction, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you agree that youth has a power that could build and raise our nation, but at the same time topple our nation? Do you agree that?
Correct. I agree to a certain extent, Wafa, because giving the power to 7.8 million of youth and taking them to a level where they feel very much involved in politics and they are empowered to bring change can also be a double-edged sword, because I would like to just retract back just 2 years ago when YB Syed Saddiq has been fighting so badly, and he have proved, along with the Undi 18 committee, well done, bravo, you guys have succeeded to bring in this narrative and managed to lobby all 222 MPs in the parliament to pass a bill that was merely impossible for the longest period of time, but you guys made it. However, I would say that at that point of time, before all of this switch in prime ministers and all, you see Pakatan Harapan already pushed the bill. They already had the upper hand. So I would ask this question back: if, let's say, if you are not in power, would you actually push for the bill? Would you push for the policy? Because if you are pushing for the particular policy, I know the spike of bipartisanship is very high. It's valued. I really love the energy that had been placed back then, but I don't see that anymore. I do not see the spirit of bipartisanship within political dimensional and also the politicians anymore, because right now it's all about winning the votes of the youth. Because, like, going back to the question earlier, the reason why I agree that you said youth can take and also give that power is because when the particular government of the day, if they can come up with the proper manifesto and the proper budget that will be used in the coming elections, that will be vital. Because if it doesn't matter who brought in who managed to open up the doors of Undi 18, it doesn't matter anymore, because right now what the youth wants is a government that actually can take care of their interests and take care of their well-being in terms of how they are living their lives right now.
True. So for the sake of our nation's future, our government must have actually have the right vision for our youth, instead of saying it as mere rhetoric. So a vision must be accompanied by efforts, like you mentioned earlier on. So efforts of execution instead of just merely a false hope for the youth. Do you agree so?
I like I said earlier, we can't just simply say youth in politics. Youth must be placed at a high position, but also like you said, efforts. So one of the very early start, or perhaps the first baby move that a youth can do, is to just engage with the community. And this, my lecturer always says this back then, you don't want to be in politics, it's fine, it doesn't matter, no one is calling you to join politics. But when the time comes, for example, when your particular community, in that particular block or taman where you live in. If, for example, if there would be a fight between your neighbor and the other neighbor, would you want to take part in that, or would you just stay quiet inside your house and just act don't know? So that is already a form of politics. That is already a form of whereby you have to make the critical thinking, the decision to engage yourself in that, or you just want to let these two neighbors fight. So to me is that youth have already shown that interest. It's good, and the momentum is building up. You know, youth are getting more engaged in discussions with the, in terms of in terms of policy, in terms of complaining on Twitter. I can see that every single day. You can see all the rants and all. To me, it's good. A lot of people say Twitter is toxic and all, but to me, it's through Twitter that we can actually see how the youth are very much engaged. However, what is said on Twitter, what is discussed on Twitter or Clubhouse, whatsoever, it's all just a very small percentage of youth in this country. What we're missing is the bigger picture, whereby all of these other youth who are not on Twitter, who are on the fence, those who are living in Borneo, those who are living in West Malaysia, in terms of not being in a very modernized cities and so on. Those are the proper youth that actually care about politics, that actually want to take part in politics and wants to be part of the change, but they are very quiet because, like I said, they are on the fence. And when the time comes, like election comes, or when their party goes into these places to campaign, and going into these places to recruit, these are the proper leaders that will be nurturing and will be nurtured, and also will be making the decision when the time comes.
Okay, I actually have noticed that actually our youth are starting to be more understanding of the political literacy, and they are actually starting to advocate as well. It's not just about talking on Twitter, expressing themselves. They are starting to practice political even at a university level.
Alright.
So let's take IIUM and UM. They have student union which almost at the same level of the university management itself.
Okay.
So however, when they start to practice politics in their schools, in the university, but once they graduated, they don't have the platform anymore. Okay, so once they are graduated, we can see that the unemployment rate at this point of time is raising at an alarming up. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I agree absolutely, Wafa. That is very alarming and worrying at the same time, because I would always remind myself and my friends, even when I was active back then during university days, when I was in politics as well, that shouldn't have been the main priority. It shouldn't be, I would say, the main focus when we were in university, because for a fact, no matter how passionate you are, no matter how much you want to be in politics, right? But if you do not have the sufficient income, and if you do not have the safety net in terms of education, if you are putting aside your academia for politics, that is a very disastrous move that a youth can do. But I would like to just go back. I mean, like, with all due respect, it would be so great that all the youth are actually involving in their student union, student representative council. I was president back then in my own university. So to me, it's all form of politics, because when you can come up in your own university as a student leader, that shows that you are already in the telescopes of politicians or political parties, where they would come to you and recruit you at a young age. Because it's just like football. I think those who watch football, they know that whenever a young guy who is playing on the field at a very high level soccer, there will always be managers from other clubs, or recruiters, we would say, would come and scout for the particular football player. That works in politics because at a young age, if you have very extremely good public speaking skills, if you have um, enough networking with your friends and also in politics, and also you have shown that you can actually lead a movement at young age, definitely you don't have to go looking for your first party, or you don't have to be uh, dying to come up in politics, but politics will find you and you will eventually come up naturally and organically, I would say. So going back to your question, to where like a lot of youth out there are unemployed, I believe it's part and puzzle of how politics have already changed and perhaps affected their studies time. And also, I wouldn't say just how active you are in university have already gave you the end of the block or like dead end to you when you graduated, but also because of the lack of job opportunities. And also many of us very keen to take up a job that fits our criteria, or like our what we studied in bachelor, right? So we are also not equipped with the current day skill set. So if you wouldn't want to dare yourself to learn something new, how would you actually want to stop ranting about how the government is not doing enough to help you, when you can actually sharpen up your own skill sets? Like for example, myself, when I graduated and after I finished my internship and so on, I didn't immediately get a government job, or I didn't immediately ended up in a particular government agency. Instead, due to the market circumstances and also the situation, I took up digital marketing. So to me, it's all about adaptation. If we can adapt and we can learn something new despite having zero knowledge, that proves that one or an individual as a youth can actually bring change in the future.
But don't you think the longer they are unemployed due to less job opportunities will affect their intelligence and skill?
That also depends, Wafa, you see, because accessibility, again, I repeat, accessibility is so important, because if let's say you are a graduate from a university in a town, and after graduating you do not have a job, you will go back to your hometown. So when you go back, this transitioning to your hometown will probably give you jobs that are more fitted in the traditional background, which is like probably following the parents' trades to fish, plantation, or perhaps selling kui mui, or selling very, people say kedai runcit kind of stuff. Yeah. So to me, that is already a form of small trades and economics going on. At least the person can at least get some, we would say, sustain their life through it. But yeah, that is a varying factor as well. But if the youth who actually grew up and studied and is unemployed in a city, it will be much easier for them. And also I would say it will be very much convenient for them to take up something that they have zero knowledge on, or take up something that they don't even like, but they're forced to take it up because there is no other options. So to me, it is in fact worrying, and it will affect the mental psychology of a person when you are unemployed, because it just puts up pressure building up onto you. You have to find income, you have to take care of the bills. Imagine those who are not living with their parents anymore. I wonder how bad and worrying their situation can be. So like I said, it's all about trying to find a middle point where we can actually sharpen our skill sets to do something we don't even like, or coming out of our comfort zone, I would say.
But I think there is like one thing that we could do, perhaps lowering the age of retirement age, in order to give more chances to the young leaders to start becoming our next our next leaders, perhaps.
Okay.
So, what do you think of lowering the age?
Actually, I think I've been hearing this. I wouldn't want to say rumors, but
Mhm.
I've been hearing this narrative of bringing down the age of pension within the government servant. But you see, that will only affect a very huge part of the sector, which is the government sector, public sector, we would say. So, if we were to bring down the government sector's age, then how about those who are already going to reach, who have already reached and who is going to retire? Once, if that age has been lowered down, how are we going to expect them to actually sustain back their life? Or perhaps I know there will be monthly pension rates back for every government. That is the perks, right? But if we were to give in more youth as an easy chance to just come into government without, like I said, filtration, without proper qualification, or just simply bringing up the space or clearing up the space for younger leaders to come in into the government sector, I believe that is a bit unfair for those who are already in their mid 55s or in their 60s, right? I say 60 is the last age, right? But it will be a shame to those who can actually still work up to 60, up to 65, right? Because I believe their spirit and their contribution to this country have been so great, have been so good, that if they are still fit, imagine if Dr. Mahathir right now at the age of 90 years old, he can still think and strategize our political landscape, and can even do a lot of amazing things that even young people can't do. How about a government servant who is at the age of 55 or 60? He would feel, he or she would want to get there and would want to maximize their entire careerhood for the country. And also because um, government servants and those who are aligned in the public sector, they have been working in one stream, in one field for the longest of time. And if you actually going to expect them to once they retire, or early retirement like you said just now, what are they going to do? Are they going to take up something that they haven't done before, or something that they don't know anything about? For example, business, right? So like, not everyone can start their own business without the proper knowledge, or or without the proper business education, right? So to me, it goes back to giving a boundary between how youth can come in and fill up the government positions, and also giving a chance for the elders, or I would say those who are in their mid 50s, to finish up the tenure.
I think I would partially disagree with you on that, because you have to start receiving more youth leaders in the
Correct.
parliament to
Parliament is a different thing.
Okay.
You used it public sector
public
and
sector,
private
okay.
sector. Yeah.
Both.
Politics
And
in government, of course. If, for example, if you say parliament, then it's a whole complete scenario. Because I would definitely agree with you.
Okay, so but there's a need of change of policy.
Correct.
Because the youth generation, we are new generations,
Yes.
so we need fresh ideas to lead the country.
Correct.
So most of Malaysian leaders, we have heard rumors, like you said, we need more youth to be part of politics. But the veteran leaders at the same time wants to keep their position and their title. So when they want to keep their title for as long as they can,
Yeah.
the youth starts to feel dissatisfaction and start to feel disappointed, and they feel what am I waiting for? What am I waiting for? They are talking about more youth in the politics, but they don't give us the chance to do so. So, do you agree that our current politics are saying we need more youth in our politics is merely rhetoric?
I would say it's 50-50, because we can't just ridicule the fact that there has not been any efforts from any political parties that who are fighting for youth quota, who is fighting for the youth to be part of the organization, to be part of the candidacy shortlist or even getting seats. I think you mentioned earlier in the last two state election, there have been a few young candidates that have been placed up. Although some of them lost or some of them won, it doesn't matter. In the end of the day, they had stand a shot to contest, right? So to me, there have been efforts done by political parties to bring up the youth. For example, past 2 days, we can see the results from the pemilihan party in Parti Keadilan Rakyat, whereby we can see 4 of their night presidents are all below 50s. We imagine that 40, 41, 42, 43. So they're all within the area of still young and just nice to come up in politics, because they have already served and being in politics for so long that at the middle age, whereby right now they are already being nurtured to take up high positions and also to be part of government at the very beginning and to start with. So and we can see in UMNO itself, there have been already a change in their perlembagaan to allow every cabang or every bahagian, every branch, every UMNO branch to have one youth leader from the student wing to be part of their committee structure. So to me, the change is already being there, and not to forget, the numerous policies that have been shaped by particular political parties, namely the new alignment of we've been hearing a lot of giving quota or giving certain percentage for youth, like a set figure or amount for youth to be selected as candidates. So we've been seeing a lot of changes, and the wrong, we would say the space is narrow. I agree, because you said there will be some obstacles or blockage, but we can't just say there wasn't any efforts lah. Yeah,
There is some efforts that
it's just not fully there yet.
Okay, so to wrap up the session tonight, so aligned with our title, how powerful the youth are in your opinion?
I would say very, very powerful, because like just now I would like to quote you. So you said youth can give the power and also take away the power, right? That's how powerful the youth is in Malaysia. And the only thing I would say is do not mess around with the youth, because the youth, we can be very quiet, and we act like we are not involved, or we act like we don't care about what you guys are doing up there, or like, as long as their bread and butter is not being disturbed, how their jobs are being taken away, or not being fulfilled, not being provided to them, or how their scholarships are not being provided to those who needs it, and also all of these politicals, we would say massacre, whereby like if politicians and political parties will be busy trying to form the next government, or busy making the next deal or making the next move, if we are going to leave the youth if we are being ignorant, if the current government or the opposition is going to be not persuasive, or not just persuasive but also show it through action, the youth will rise, and it's just like
They will rise.
Yeah. And we have to agree that if they rise, it will be just like what Suharto said, you give him 8 young boys and it will shake the country.
I agree with you. So to conclude our discussion tonight with our amazing panel, Juliyus, an insightful discussion indeed, would you agree so?
I agree, Wafa.
We hope that all political parties, including at the ministry level, open up as much space as possible for young people to fill their position as heads and leaders. Give the chance to our youth, because our future depends on them. So that is all from us for now. See you in the next session. Good night and stay safe, Malaysia.
Channel TV Virtual Studio Multi-Purpose. We provide virtual studio space for multi-purpose, talk show, news, online coaching and presentation, webinar, forum conference and more. With a professional worker and up-to-date visual graphics set and design, call us for more information.